to GymGems, my podcast, episode 2, and I'm here with none other than MJ himself. MJ3000, if you know about it. Introduce yourself.
Thank you. Yes, yes. MJ3000, Myron Jackson, but MJ3000 on social media. Pleasure. Thank you for having me, man. You got a great setup here, man. This is dope.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying? I see you doing your thing.
I'm
That's what's
trying.
up. So what's going on?
I'm excited to have you because you're
Yeah.
such a multifaceted entity.
Thank you.
I think most people have like a niche and they stick in it,
Yeah.
but I think you understand that you can be great at multiple things, you can do multiple things, and you
Yeah.
can do them well. But I think what I like about you is you always master one before you move on to the other.
Yeah, I try.
So, you know what I mean? So talk a little bit about what you've done. I want your history,
Yeah.
where you started and now how we got here.
Yeah, well, my fitness background started pretty much in just bodybuilding. You know what I'm saying? That's pretty much how I got started. Once I found fitness, it was pretty interesting because I had that aha moment, especially if anybody who's in fitness, if you play the sport, right? And obviously those have an expiration date. And
Yeah.
after you finish playing, whether it's collegiate, professional, or even high school, you kind of find out, oh my goodness, what, as an athlete,
Right.
right? And I had that aha moment where I realized, oh man, when I started working out, this is what I was missing. I was missing competition. But
Okay.
it wasn't necessarily competition as, you know, the opposition across me. It was me versus me. And
Yeah.
the gym really gave me that because I used to play football, basketball, and I was like, man, this is great. I have something physical that I can do that challenges me. It
Right.
was just the challenge of it all. And so that was how I pretty much fell in love with fitness, and it pretty much gave me so much value, you know what I mean, when it
Yeah.
comes to structure, discipline, and just overall quality of life.
Okay.
So my history started out just working out with my friends, and then I found bodybuilding, and it
Okay.
just took me to a whole nother level. You know what I mean? More importantly, learning and understanding. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Learning how to eat, learning how to structure your workouts and training, learning the importance of supplementation, and
Yeah.
food, and just sleep. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, yeah. So that was pretty dope when it came to, as far as fitness is concerned, bodybuilding, you know what I'm saying? So
Okay.
I don't compete, I'm not active, I haven't competed in over a decade. I still have love for the sport.
Yeah.
And the athletes, I follow them all the time. They really motivate me. Me and my wife was recently just at a bodybuilding show. And interesting enough, it was her first time going to a show. And what was fun about that moment, it was so nostalgic because I remember going to my first bodybuilding show. And when you walk out of that show, you're like, it's on. I got some work to do. Because you're seeing such extraordinary physiques, you know what I'm saying? It gives you that motivation. It's like, man, I ain't doing enough. I need to go hard. I'm trying to look like that, you know what I'm saying? Or it's like, I can do this. Not that you have the desire to maybe compete, but the inspiration, the motivation, seeing it in others, that can be pretty profound. And she experienced that recently, and it was such a joy riding home where she was like, I can't wait for Monday, or I can't wait for Sunday for leg day. You know what I'm saying? So I knew what that felt like. That moment felt like, because I remember leaving shows, or even if you ever go to a fitness expo or something like that, you see some of the greatest physiques. Yes.
Maybe I should go. I think everybody's so pressed about me being a bodybuilder, and I don't have an interest. And I have never been to a bodybuilder show. I think, if I'm just being candid, the physique is not desirable for me.
Okay.
I respect women who do that, but I don't want to get my body fat down to 7% and this and that. Like, I'm not actually interested in that physique.
Right.
And we've talked about this because everybody's like, well, what's your goal? Like, if you're going to lift heavy, are you going to power lift? Are you going to bodybuild? And I'm like, I like lifting heavy shit because I like lifting heavy shit. There is no competition. I'm just trying to outdo my last lift. If my last deadlift was 305 and then the next one's 325, then we there. I don't need no audience. I don't need no entourage. I need headphones, Wu-Tang Clan in the ear, and I'm good.
Your music choices remind me of myself in a sense.
I'm old fashioned. You know, my dad's from Philly, so I think I love just old, like, hip hop.
Hip hop, yeah.
Big L type. Nostalgic hip hop.
I find that fascinating about you because of the music you listen to. Obviously you guys follow her on Instagram.
Right.
And I was like,
my song choice.
yeah, I was like, this is like a whole grown man out here that's like my age in their 40s, and I'm like, what are you doing listening to this? And obviously, so you said it came from your father?
Yes, my dad gives me the hip hop. My mom gives me the like Anita Baker, soul, Diana Ross vibe.
Yeah.
So when I listen to new music, I'm just kind of uninterested. And of course, I used to songwrite, and I think
you used to songwrite?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a songwriter. That's when I came to Atlanta for the first time, and I loved it because I'm like, I could give music what it's been missing.
Right.
But then I realized that I like creating, but I don't like shopping the music. So for me with fitness, I love the entire process. And I always tell people, if you want to be passionate about something, you got to love the whole thing.
Right.
I love it when I fail. I love it when I don't see the gains. I love it when I do see the gains.
Yeah.
I loved when I was small. I love when I'm bigger now. So, but with music, I just like creating it. And then after that, I was like, well, I don't feel like networking. I don't feel like shopping it. And so if you don't love something in totality, you're probably not going to stick with it.
True.
It's like there's people that like to eat. They don't like to cook. Right? So you're never going to become a chef. You might eat, but you don't actually enjoy cooking food. Right. You got to like the whole process, not just the outcome. So I think, and even with bodybuilding, I've seen that process and I'm like, oh my God, like the outcome's dope. But do you actually like all of what comes before it? You guys that have bodybuilded obviously do. Yeah. Me, I'm like, it's just not, and I love being full figured. Right. That's important to me. And to when I found out the body fat percentage you have to get to, I said, y'all, no. They're like, but you're gonna look bigger because like you're gonna have no body fat. And I'm like, no. No. But I respect it.
Yeah, I can tell. I know we've had private conversations about, your respect for bodybuilding and all the ladies that do it. Yeah. And obviously they have different categories that range all the way from actually a bodybuilder to someone a little bit softer, like a wellness chick. Right. With big legs, and they focus on the leg development and glutes. So it's plenty of categories. And like I told you in the past, just take your time with it. You know what I'm saying? You don't never have to do it. But I always tell anybody who is looking to get in the best shape of their lives, try it one time. And you may not even, obviously it'll be hell, but you'll learn so much more about yourself. Because one of the, and I told you this, one of the most impressive things that I've seen you do without any knowledge of how to take your body from being, you would say, relatively skinny, right? Yeah. To what you develop now with this, I'm gonna just do it.
Right,
so how did you do it, in a sense?
I think I labeled myself as on a bulk way before I understood what it means. I didn't even know I had to be in a caloric surplus when I started bulking. Yeah. I think, and then when I started going to Fineo, I have talked about this. Get out of commercial gyms if you actually want to learn something. I think that one-of-one gyms have different styles of trainers. Not discrediting LA Fitness or Planet Fitness. Not saying there's not people that are knowledgeable in there. Yeah. However, I needed to meet people that had a little dog in them. Not just no cookie cutter training. Like,
you just need a different energy.
And when I got to Fineo, and once people got comfortable, when I was doing something wrong, they stopped me. When something looked light, they're like, that's light, that shit light. Put something on the bar. When I'm doing 8 reps, they're like, why not 12? When I got to 12, why not 20? You know what I mean? So there was so much push, and then they're like, you might actually be nice at this for real. And I'm like, you think? I'm like, because this was just something I was doing for fun. And if you scroll down my page, there is cringy fitness, but I was proud of it. And I'm keeping it because it's humbling. But I think.
What do you mean by cringy?
Form. Training style, not really knowing. When you first get started, you don't know the line between doing too much and not doing enough. So you go and you didn't have 5, 10, 11 exercises with 4 sets. You don't have to do that. Right. You can have a functional leg day with 5 exercises.
Yeah, without a doubt.
With the right amount of intensity and whatever. But those are all things that you learn. So I think it was definitely that gym that helped me understand better how to train. Because remember you asked me one time, you said, are you working out or are you training? Right. And that stuck with me because I was like, I'm not sure. You know what I mean? I'm like, I think I train my legs. I work out my upper body. That's what I told you. Right. And now I'm training my entire body. I've separated my splits. Now I have like a shoulders and biceps day and a rear delts and it's different now because I'm trying to sculpt my body instead of just hit certain things. So I think, it was an accident though. It wasn't, I didn't plan on getting into this space.
I mean, you are genetically gifted, so I know it didn't take you long to develop your physique. And I'll spin a block on something you said earlier, specifically about commercial gyms. Yeah. I think people discount motivation inside of a gym. Sometimes it's not, like you said, there's nothing wrong with LA Fitness or any other commercial gym.
Yeah.
But sometimes when you see the same people and no one is looking different,
right?
You know what I'm saying? Or no one looks great. It can be a little like, man, I need to be around some that type of energy. You know what I mean? So I would encourage people, like, maybe if your workouts are getting a little stale, maybe you just need to be around different energy and different people, because you highlighted Fineo. Fineo has so much energy in there.
Yeah.
And you're looking at some of the best physiques, not only in the city, but in pretty much in this nation. You know what I mean? And so it can be very intimidating at first.
For most. Right. For me, I was inspired.
You can come in there and you can be super inspired. It's like, man, these people are, these athletes in here getting it. And they're everyone's from all different walks of life.
For sure. And I think it wasn't just men that were getting it.
Right.
That's another thing. When you go to commercial gyms, like even in the dumbbell section at LA Fitness, like there's all these men. It's like, excuse me. And as you pass by them 10s and them 20s and them 40s, and I go grab me a 60 or something, it's like, they're like, you need this? I'm like, that's 20. I'm down here with it. I don't need that. Mm-hmm. So it's like, it's just even the stigma in the gym is that girls are there to do cute, light things. But when you go to a gym, they're talking shit on the girls just like you would with your guys. Like, I could have 405 on the hip thrust. So like, you want to go up? I'm like, no, but I might, right? Because you're here. So I think, and speaking of training, I'm going to talk directly to the camera for this. MJ put me through a leg day that almost, I'm glad we didn't have cameras, because there are dog workouts. When you're content creators, it's cool, but there's those dog workouts where you turn the camera off, you put your headphones in. When I mean, I could not walk for 5 days. I have never trained legs like that. Like, I was making noises in that gym that weren't reserved for the gym, but baby, it was, I was so proud of myself when I was done though.
Yeah, of
and
course. Your
wife was there, and I'm like, well, she's all right. So I'm like, if she's struggling, but she's doing it, and everybody else I'm like, y'all not finna punk me, like, I'm gonna commit. But I've never in my life trained like that. He made me realize, like, I'm training legs, but am I really training legs? Like, and I get that that's probably not every time, right?
Of course.
But, I absolutely loved it. It really was like,
because you're an athlete.
Yeah, and when we warmed up with like 50 reps on the leg, as a warm-up, I said, oh, this is gonna be interesting.
That was a great workout. Yeah, most people don't train legs really efficiently, and effectively. Right. It's just not, especially men, that's just not the way they it's a hard body part. It's the biggest body part that you have on your physique. And in order to hit it, because it's so much muscle, you got to hit it from different angles, and the intensity has to be there. Right. Range of motion, form, and then there's different ways to approach it. But like I said, those type of workouts, it wasn't necessarily based off of strength, as you could remember. It was based off, we're targeting specific muscles. Endurance, and we're being very intentional in it, because sometimes people forget about the importance of conditioning the muscle. You know what I mean? If you really want it to be, dense, have that pop to it, you have to beat it up over and over, and you have to get the reps. And then also too, you still want to be symmetrical, so legs are important. Right. But you also, sometimes you want to have some detail in there. And the only way you're going to get detail, obviously, through nutrition, but also through a style of training. The reps is what's going to pretty much separate that muscle tissue. You know what I'm saying?
And so I am, of course, a women's online coach, you know that, so I only train women. And I wanted to speak to a man about this, because I think people think there's different styles of training for different genders. Oh yeah, I love this. There was 2 women and 2 men there that day, and we did the same thing. I feel like I've spoken to this, but there are not gender-specific exercises. And do you really think that women and men should train differently as far as just how they go about it, depending on what their goals are? Yeah, like the last part. It depends on what their goal is. This is a great question, because sometimes it's so frustrating. And sometimes, obviously, my following is majority of men, but I will have some women that venture in the comments and they'll ask a question. Are these exercises good for women? And I love that, because it gives me an opportunity to let them know, there are no gender specific workouts, right? You know what I mean, or exercises, depending on what you're doing. Like in my most recent challenge, I had several women in there, and they were doing the same workouts as the guys were doing. Like you said, it's all based off of the work. Goal. You know what I mean? And for the women,
I am so happy to see women truly getting into resistance training, weightlifting.
Yes.
Because the value that it has, as obviously as you get older, you know what I mean, for your bones and your joints, but more importantly, lean muscle mass, it works for you even when you're not in the gym, helping you stay lean all the time. You know what I'm saying? If you're resting metabolic, where you just like literally burning muscle and burning calories all the time. Those are great benefits when it comes to adding on lean muscle tissue. So I love the whole muscle mommy movement. Obviously, I've been in the gym for a long time, but I do love the rise that I see of women in the gym, especially black women, because black women are not necessarily represented in the gym like you may think.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it was interesting because when I first met my wife, and, you know, she was working out, and I had to tell her, I was like, you know, black women don't really work out like that. Right. And she was like, no, what are you talking about?
Right. We get that sense of what you talking about, not me.
Right. Yeah, and I had to tell her, I was like, okay, so we kind of did like a case study, right? And I'll say, okay, well, let's do this. I want you to go to work today. When you go to the grocery store, you're just out and about. We'll run some errands later. We'll go to dinner. And I said, throughout the duration of this day, I just want you to take a second and just look around. Yeah. And look around, you know, to see who's in shape and who's not in shape. Right. But then, more importantly, I want you to go to the gym for a couple of days and let me know who you see in the gym. And sure enough, she came back and she was like, oh, God, yeah, they're not there at all. Because sometimes we get caught up in our own social media bubble. Yep. And you see what you see, the people you follow, but that's not necessarily a representation of the fitness space. You know what I'm saying? So seeing women, period, but also seeing black women really getting into shape and taking their, you know, their health serious, but more importantly, the weight training. Yes. Oh man, it's been such a joy to see it, and I always want to promote it and support it. You know, mainly because, and I'll ask you a question. Mainly because I see that y'all have been pissing off a lot of men lately with y'all weightlifting, lifting heavy weights. So the question I want to ask you is, how or have you dealt with, you know, hate or guys coming in your gym or coming in your comments telling you, oh, you shouldn't be lifting weights, you're gonna look like a man, or this, that, and the third. And I imagine women feel the same way at times. So how do you deal with that, or do you have any advice for anyone when it comes to stuff like that?
I will say one of the things, when it comes to my clients, I'm really blessed because my clients have muscle goals. So I've coined the little term of like strength, you know, muscle mommy strength coach, because my clients want to be strong, but they don't want to be masculine. Right? So I think there's always that, like, I want to hit upper body, but, you know, not too much, as they look at me in my face as if I've hit it too much. And I'm like, have I gone too far off the deep end? But I think that I get way more love than I get hate. But I remember on my YouTube, and I was going to touch on this, I did a video on the 5 reasons why I don't skip upper body. And a guy was like, there is no reason why a girl should ever desire muscularity in her upper body. Like, sent a whole paragraph, and he said that men that are attracted to women that have muscular, they might be bisexual. Like,
oh wow.
Listen, it was such a 1950s mentality, and I was just like, you've got to be kidding me, right? If muscles were reserved for men, you guys are the only ones with them. We're supposed to have them. I think that there's a way to train, and that's what I was kind of hinting at, where there's not gender specific exercises, right? But like I told you, for example, I'm a trap dominant woman, right? So I have traps. Now, you get too much traps, you're giving Terry Crews. And that's cool for you, but for me, it's not. But as a woman, you don't have muscle-mind connection sometimes. I don't even know how I got these. But once we started talking about the exercises that I might want to stay away from, not because they're gender specific, but because they're going to enlarge this. Any front raises, any heavy shrugs, any of that, unless I'm shrugging for the rear. But you get what I'm saying? Anything like that is going to enlarge and, for me, give me a more masculine physique. Although there's some women that are built like that, I'm not coming at them. I'm saying there is a way to train to avoid a certain type of muscularity. And that's not about it being woman or man. It's just like, if you're a woman who wants to be jacked, you grab those 70s for the shoulder presses. You get what I'm saying? But if you don't want to be, then naturally there are certain things you might want to stay away from. They're going to enlarge this area or this area. So I think for me, I get a lot of love, and I'm not even as cut up here as I want. I want more mass up here, but not too much, because I can't create hips. So if you get too big up here, then you get a more narrow illusion down here. And because I can't create that, I'm just going to tone up what I have up here instead of putting on too much
Yeah,
more
of course.
mass. So I think that's what it is for women. I think they need to understand how to train for the body they want instead of fearing certain things and thinking that it's going to make them bulky.
Right.
And I don't know why there's so much disconnect there for those women.
It's but that's why women like you are important to convey that message. Hey, you can still work out and train and still be feminine. That's why I always love you ladies that are, you take your femininity serious, but you still also take your training serious.
Of course.
And I think that has tremendous value that other young ladies can see.
Yeah.
When I see a young lady, I think I've sent 2 or 3 different women your page that, hey, check this out. Like my daughter, for instance, she wanted to start working out. I sent her your page, Steph, and a couple other ladies. I was like, these ladies, they still very feminine. They work out. Right. These are the physiques that they have built.
Exactly.
So it's very important and necessary. So please continue to do that work because it's needed.
Yeah, I mean, my nails are 2.5 inches long. I keep my hair done. I still dress up. Like, I'm not just, and that's why I told you I'm trying to balance the lifestyle. And I want to segue into social media and content because I feel like one thing that I struggle with is right now, that's why I go to the gym. So I'm trying to do better at capturing more of my lifestyle. I do more than work out. But yes, of course, I'm a gym rat. So it does take up a lot of my time. But I go to bookstores, I go on dates, I go out. Yeah. And I think that growing your following, I think, of course, naturally, you are kind of massive. Mm-hmm. So I think your phizique in itself is unique. People don't look like you. And so when I first seen you in Finale, I was like, who is that? Right. And they're like, oh, no, that's MJ. You don't know him? I'm like, no, never seen him in here a day of my life because I would have recognized you because you're bigger than everybody else, except for Denzel's big ass, but you know what I mean? So I was just like, wow. And then when I went to your page, I'm like, you have such a great balance of like you and your wife, and then sometimes you have your grandchild, and sometimes you have your workouts. Like, how you think that's crucial to your growth because you just hit 1 million+ followers? Yeah,
I would have to give my wife credit for that. She was the one that told me I needed to start speaking more. This was a few years ago. Well, not a few years ago. It was probably about 2 years ago. I started taking social media serious about 3 years ago, so I'm still relatively new to all of this as well. Yeah. I just knew what I liked that sounds good, looks good, and I kind of just stick in that and stay in my lane. But she was one of the individuals that really pushed me to start talking more and doing more things, just to add more character depth. Right. You know what I mean? So people can get to really truly know me. Because obviously social media, I only allow you to see what I allow you to see. Exactly. In a sense, right. But I think there is value in talking, like I've been seeing you do a lot more, which I love, and showing that I'm a real person. I literally had someone, I was doing a HIIT workout at Finale recently, and we were wrapping everything up, and I had a young man come up to me and gave me his, like, man, I love your videos. I swear to God, I thought you were AI. You know what I'm saying? Like, literally. Are you a real person? Right. And it was funny, but I understood what he was saying, and I think a lot of people felt that way, maybe a year and a half ago, because I didn't really speak a whole lot, and I didn't show a lot of my personal life. Right. And you in the gym is just straight dog. Right. It's straight hardcore. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's just kind of the way I go about it. So I feel like it's helped my business significantly. Yeah. Because it gives people like they feel like they know me, which is cool. You know what I mean? Right. And they feel like, like I told you, a lot of these spaces that we operate in are oversaturated, so they're not necessarily buying whatever it's a product or course or system, they're purchasing you. So adding that character depth, showing I'm a real person. Hey, I got a family, I got kids, I got grandkids, I got a wife, and I work. You know what I'm saying? I got these businesses going on. So it's important to show that aspect of it. I would caution anyone and yourself not to give so much. You have to give something or keep something for yourself. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And but you'll be able to kind of operate and know what you can give and what you can't give. But it's important to, covet certain things about your life where you don't want everybody, because as great as social media is, it can be a very dark, toxic place. Exactly. You know what I mean? And I'm very private. Right. You're very private, and you have to protect your energy at all costs. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because like I said, they don't view like content creators like yourself or fitness. It's almost like you're not a person and a human. You don't have feelings. You're not allowed. You know what I'm saying? So in order to protect that, you just kind of have to give them a little bit, and you can play around with different content and be creative still, but still protect your energy. But I do believe in talking and showing more. Like I remember I told you, I was like, talk about the nails. Like,
Right.
how you do that.
That's one of my highest performing YouTube videos.
Right.
Just because.
They love that. They want to know little things like that. Like, show them your closet, because you, like, say for instance, you have, as you can see, she has the most creative socks. Every time I see you, you can talk about things like that, or where you get those socks from, and the outfits. Because I've really been enjoying over the last 12 months these get ready with me videos that I see people doing. I think those are so cool. You know what I'm saying?
Because you can
see, I think content like that really, shows that you're human and you're a person.
Yeah.
And I lean into heavily sometimes, mental health, because I had battled with that a lot years ago, and that I found that was an aha moment for me, where it was like, so many people used to say, man, this really helped me. I went through the same thing.
Yeah.
And sometimes we kind of stuck in our own world. We think that we the only ones that be going through stuff. And it's like, and it was like, oh man, I had to congratulate Anjali for that, because I was like, man, because I was really somewhat insecure in putting that out there, that I've dealt with depression and mental health issues.
Yeah.
Because I just didn't want, to be labeled as, some people say, oh, that's weak, or this and that. And so she really gave me the courage to talk about some of those things, and I found that it really truly helped a lot of people.
Yeah.
And they looked at me, I guess, as maybe a beacon of light. It's like, oh man, you got over that, so what did you do?
Right.
And one of the things I always tell them, I was like, bro, anytime I've dealt with things, I've leaned into my fitness heavy.
Yeah.
I lean into it really heavy. Like, I really get on my nutrition. I tighten up, because I found that it really, if I put energy into that, everything seems to kind of take out. It's kind of like a distraction. Let me get more cardio, making sure I'm not even cheating. And those are the things that really truly help me, kind of save me from a lot of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So
I can imagine. I just made my first mental health post, if you will. Because I talked about body dysmorphia, because I do struggle with it. And I posted a selfie and I talked about it, because that's all that felt cute yesterday. And the day before that, and the day before that. I think that there's so much pressure once you put your body as the forefront of your marketing. Yeah. So it's like, and because I'm on a bulk, if I feel like I look skinny, I am absolutely disgusted. I don't want to shoot content. I want to cover up. I don't want to, and nobody can tell me anything different. Yeah. Everybody's going to tell me you look great. And even if you felt great on Monday, and then you get to Wednesday, you haven't lost any gains. Nothing's changed. Right. I'm like, where are my quads? Yeah. Where are my shoulders? Like, where? And it's bad. But I think that it didn't develop until I started getting into fitness. Right. When I was skinny, I thought I was it, baby. You couldn't tell me nothing. Better. You was like, I'm like, I'm her. And then as soon as I start working on my body, now I'm like, wait, where my rear delts at? So, where my shoulders at?
Well, hold on. Let me ask you this, because this is interesting. So if you thought you were fine, what was the deciding factors like, I want to start working out and lifting weights? Because if you were happy with yourself when you were that, she would say skinny, what happened?
Well, I think COVID happened, and then I put on like I was still small, but I was like out of shape. I don't know why people think that you can't be skinny small fat. And out of shape. Right, you small, but you got a little back roll and a little tummy, and then once the gyms opened, I got into the gym, not knowing what I was doing, and then I got really stressed. So then I got really small, because when I'm stressed out, I don't eat. You don't eat. So I got really, really skinny, and I was like, it's time to put on some weight. And I've had one coach, one trainer in my life. When I came here to Atlanta, I had a trainer for a few months. I think that's when I realized that the fitness industry isn't different from the music industry. As far as it being male dominated and people not being able to focus. And I was still on a gains journey then. And I remember I was training like 6 times a week with him. I was doing steps. I was doing all these things that now that I'm a coach, I'm like, no, you're doing too much. You're never going to put on weight like that unless you're eating like you, which I can't eat like you. I'm not your size. So that was for a couple months, and I was like, no. But what I realized is that I was only looking forward to going to the gym. That's all that was like exciting to me at that point in life. I was working, but I didn't give a fuck. My only excitement was when I got to the gym. Nothing mattered. My mind was clear. All I was worried about was pushing this weight, whatever I was doing. And then when I switched gyms and came to Fineo, that's when I really started getting on a gains journey. When I came to Fineo, I was a $128, $130 maybe. And now I'm on like 157, 158. I fluctuate. But I was small when I came there, but then I seen bigger women. I knew that I wanted to be bigger, but I just didn't know what I needed to do. And then when I realized just how much food I need to consume, it almost scared me.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I have to eat how much, how often. Yeah. You got to think when you go out, if you need to grab food, whatever. So I think that
it's a job to eat.
Right. So, and then I said I want to do it clean.
Right.
So I could have did a dirty bulk, and I would have gotten, but I did it clean. So it's taking me a lot longer. But I put on more muscle mass than I think I even realized. Do you know what I mean? In that time frame, and because I was still new to this industry, I didn't think it was impressive. Other people had to tell me, because I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, is this what people do? Am I slow? Am I fast? Like, I don't know. Because I'm still new to this. And when people are like, yo, you've done a lot on your own, right? Because once that trainer was gone, I just started picking people's brains, but I never had a trainer. So, I don't know.
That's great. I mean, you are one of the few that are in a very unique position. Most people are bigger, trying to come down.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I think sometimes the people that are on the more slender side, they're kind of forgotten. You know what I mean?
They don't know how hard it is.
Yeah, we don't really talk to them, or we have a place for them. And it really, and I'm really been thinking about putting actually something together, a bulking program for men, just because they are the forgotten ones. You know what I'm saying? Yes. But in Anjali, my wife, she says this all the time. She loves the physiques like yours that went from slim or skinny to big. She would always say it hits different.
It hits different,
you know what I'm saying? It's just because everything just seems to pop.
That's how I feel when I seen her. And then when I found out, anytime a woman tells me they have children, but they don't look like they've had children, I'm just like, because having children shifts the body. I have not had any, but I know that it can completely change your dynamic. And some people look like they had some kids. But I'm like, what babies? What grandbaby? What you talking about?
Yeah,
and I'm just like, the curves. I mean, obviously that's genetic. She does just have a curvier shape than I do. But I love it. I love seeing different size women in the gym. I hate when there's only that skinny Pilates chick with 2 million followers that sell and that's cute. But that's no longer the goal. Women want to look well fed.
Yeah, absolutely.
We want to look well fed. We don't really want to be skipping no meals, not me.
Yeah, most women that I find when they really go on their fitness journey, they get really, especially if they're coming from a bigger weight, they go crazy and they go so hard and they go so skinny, and then they realize, oh, this isn't healthy. You can still eat and you can still have fun and you can still look good. Yes. And usually they put on a little bit of more size and then they find a happy medium.
Exactly.
But sometimes you have to go through that to almost that anorectic state.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, this isn't healthy, but I did it. I lost that 100 pounds. Now let me put a little bit of weight on and find that happy medium. And I think that women now, I think they understand there's nothing wrong with having curves, you know what I'm saying, and looking a certain way. You know, that is really, truly
without surgery.
Without surgery, yeah, it's fine. And we don't knock surgery, but we don't want there to be any kind of health issues, because all of those things necessarily, we don't know what the expiration date is, because a lot of the surgeries outside of breast augmentation, we don't know how those things are going to look in 20 years.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So if you can do it naturally, I would definitely encourage it. And there's this level of gratification that you'll get through the hard work that you can carry with you for the rest of your life.
Exactly.
So it's just kind of picking and choosing, you know, the right direction you want to go into when it comes to your physique. But
for sure. Speaking of physiques, how do you find, because I'm struggling with making my, I joke and say that I look like an action figure sometimes, but I think sometimes I do.
Yeah.
And I feel like as you have mass, I have muscles, whatever. How do you think because you've done it, go about making it more relatable? I feel like some people think like, oh, I love her body, but I can never get there. Like, it's almost like it's unattainable. Like, you have a lot of mass. And for some men, this is just not possible. Right? Yeah. But they still look up to you instead of are intimidated by you. I want people to be inspired, not necessarily like, well, she looked great, but I can't get there, or whatever the case. Like, I feel like maybe that'll help if I just start doing more lifestyle, taking myself out of the fitness clothes. Yeah,
I think also really kind of when anyone comes in the comments or they DM me and they say, man, I want to look like you, I always respond with thank you. That's very gracious and a kind thing to say.
Right.
You know, man, just focus on being the best version of yourself. You know what I mean? Because I understand. I have, really great genetics. Thanks, mom, dad. You know what I'm saying? And I'm really thankful for those.
Yeah.
It just, everybody, it doesn't translate the same. But I think once you kind of understand, just be the best version of yourself, you're still going to be happy with how you look. But I think, always reiterating,
Yeah.
I know you want to look like me, an action figure or whatever it is, but
Right.
let's kind of focus. Because I remember when I was training in person, I used to have guys. I remember, I'll tell you a quick story. I had a guy come in and he brought me up. Remember, the internet, back when I was training, the internet really wasn't a thing, but it was still there. This guy came in and brought me a picture of Simian Panda, right? And he's like, this is what I want to look like, right? And I said, okay. So I had to say, I was like, no, that's not. Structurally, you don't even have his build structurally. And I had to kind of let him know. I was like, let's look at somebody else. And I found someone else. I was like, this is something that's more attainable. You guys are the same height. You know what I mean? You seem to have the same structure. This is more realistic, but we don't know what's under there until we start this process. You know what I'm saying? Because even with bulking, bulking can be a tricky thing because a lot of people think that they really truly got a lot of muscle or good quality muscle, and they don't.
Yeah.
And that's why I always say when you diet down, that's going to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
You diet down, you ain't really got a back. You diet down, you really ain't got no legs.
Right.
You diet down, because it's you just have maybe a lot of water and fat over, that muscle tissue. So, you have to be very mindful of that. But I think when you reiterating and showing them kindness and like, look, let's just be the best version of ourselves, not get so caught up on this. Yeah, you can be inspired by me and how you look. I got you. I'm gonna take you to the promised land. But let's temper our expectations. So you've done this, and I imagine this is very difficult for you, especially with the ladies. You've done it in such a short period of time. You have to understand that's not normal. You know what I'm saying? That's not the way this goes. You know what I'm saying? So and I'm happy for you, but it can be difficult, delivering that message to your audience. Yeah, I did it in this time, but it's not to say it's going to happen for you this time. And like you said, relating to the children, I always say, look, especially with women, you look great. Come holler at me after you have a kid or two.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because that's going to really let you know where you stand, because your body is going to go through something so traumatic.
Right.
And the bounce back may not be there. It's going to be hard. But when I just have a lot of respect for ladies that when they have those children and you see that bounce back, you like, girl, you did that. You know what I'm saying? But I think also if you do it now, all of the women that I've seen that have had great bounce backs and been successful post baby, they all were working out before they got in the gym.
Exactly.
So if you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to be fine.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Your body has muscle memory to bounce back and see where you go. You know what I mean? But you're doing good though. I love all the content that you're putting out.
Thank you.
I think that you like I said, I think you have a level of uniqueness because of your look, but more importantly because you're coming from a place where most women aren't coming. Usually they're trying to drop web, so you can help both sides.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? You just got to keep learning.
I'm trying.
Growing.
And you know me, I'm a constant student. I'm not afraid of correction. I think that is something that has made me grow. But before I let you go, I want you to tell people what you have going on and then what they can expect from you coming up.
Well, obviously I got King Kong Unleashed. That's my supplement brand, male enhancement for men to be better in the bedroom. You know what I'm saying? You know we got to be on point with that. And I have an online training app called the Blueprint, Blueprint 3000. You can get that in the Google Play Store or Apple Store. Getting into a little bit of acting, like I told you, you know what I'm saying? I just landed my first role in the show. Actually, I could say it now. It's a show on BET called Ruthless.
Okay.
Yeah, so Tyler Perry story. So that's pretty dope. This is a different genre. This is really hard,
Yeah.
but I've really, really enjoyed it. So
And you have the work ethic for it.
Yeah,
it's already
man.
been instilled in other things you've done. So I
Man,
think
yes.
it's a smooth transition.
Yeah, I think so too. And I'm gonna just go with it. Like I was telling anybody else, I was like, man, I'm just letting God lead me in whatever direction He wants to take me.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna be obedient and listen. But that's it. And then we just gonna keep working and keep grinding and finish out the year strong and see what can happen. But I'm always just trying to be creative. But I'm also tired a lot of times. You know how that is. The work is never done, especially as an entrepreneur, because I know this is. You're a full entrepreneur now, right?
I am, yes.
How does it feel?
It is, I prayed for times like this, so I'm grateful, but it is an emotional roller coaster.
Yep.
I love being an online coach. I love my
part.
clients, but it's like this.
Yeah.
There's no more consistency, not just in income, but
Right.
just in your day-to-day, just your expectation. It's just, but I love it. I wouldn't trade
you wouldn't
it for the world.
you wouldn't trade it for the world, and that's the great thing, because the grind never stops. You always have to be creative.
Yeah.
You have to set your own schedule now,
Yeah.
and you just grind. You know what I'm saying? It's just the emotional roller coaster. Trust me, man. I said that recently on a podcast too. Just managing those expectations, because you can have a good month, you can have a slow month, but being able to just kind of stay locked in, just believe in yourself and what you're doing, and building a good product and a good team around you.
Exactly. The people around you is what matters.
Yes.
But I thank you so much for
man, thank you for having me. This is dope. I can't wait. So you be on mine next.
Yes.
And then we got to shoot some more content, specifically our leg workout.
Yeah, he owes me one.
Yeah. So we owe her a lot. And but yeah, I love this, man. I'm really, really proud of you, man. Because it's been almost a year since I met you, and all of the things that you've accomplished in such a short period of time is very impressive, man. Congrats.
Likewise, it's been a big year for you too.
Yeah, man. Yes, it has. Thank you.
I thank you again.
We're good. Thank you for having me.
Of course. All right. We out.